Welcome to the She Rise podcast. I'm your host, Jaya Rose, a spiritual lifestyle and business mentor, and I am here to help ambitious, highly sensitive women just like you and me embody unshakable confidence in your gifts and create a scalable business that nourishes you and gives you the freedom lifestyle your soul craves. Ready? Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Jaya Rose, and this podcast is sponsored by the Impactful Storytelling Program. I'm going to share a little bit about it with you now and then a bunch more at the end of the episode. If what you're hearing in this episode draws you in and you're like, heck yes, sister, storytelling is my next step, then you're going to want to listen very closely because this is amazing. The Impactful Storytelling Program is my 6-week signature coaching program where I walk you through exactly how to create your brand story, how to pick stories if you're going to be a keynote speaker, a podcast guest, if you want to write a blog, if you want to update the copy on your website. We are going to go over everything so that you can implement the stories that matter most and connect with the people who need them and also want to buy your products or services. We're also going to have a whole lesson on story selling, which I'm going to touch on what that really means and how it can benefit you and your business and brand in this episode. So we're going to dive into some really juicy topics today. But what I want you to know is that this program is amazing because you're going to get actual support from me. This is not just a digital home study program. This is a program where I'm going to be having office coaching hours every single week. And here's the thing I want to tell you about storytelling. It is not the easiest thing in the world to figure out how to do this on your own. If you are already a storytelling master, then you know that you have needed to bounce your ideas off of somebody and have somebody who understands how to put a story together in an effective way to help you. I have had that help along the way, which is why I know. So if you are ready to clarify your message, be seen more as an authority, easily attract clients, set yourself up to be a keynote speaker if what you're wanting to do is speak on stage, or if you're already speaking on stage, have an easier time validating your message and really attracting the right people to you because you're in alignment with that brand story and that mission and movement that you're really creating. It all comes from something in your life. And when you can pinpoint those things and leverage them and create a narrative around them, you are in such a better position in the marketplace. So if you want to know more, click the link below. I'll add it for you. The program starts February 29th, which is amazing because this is a leap year. Hello, magical. And you're welcome to message me on Facebook or Instagram or email me via the link below to ask me any questions you have. But otherwise, you can just go and sign up on the program page. It's amazing. Okay, so let's dive into 5 ways to use story to grow your brand. One of the things that we need to recognize when we're talking about using story is really why. Why is it so important? Why should you be focusing on it? And what will it really do for you? And something we want to recognize is really what is valuable in a marketplace. Like for you positioning yourself as a business or brand online, what is valuable to you? And the answer is an audience, is relationships. Because no matter what happens in a business, it's the relationships and the eyes that you're able to have on your business that matter because that's what it's about, right? You don't have a business to connect with nobody. You wouldn't have a business then. So I think we miss the boat a lot on this when we're building a business. We're like, what am I about? What do I need to do? What problem do I solve? What is the price of it? And we go through all of this stuff to create something so that we can sell it in a marketplace. But most of the time, people skip over the most important thing, which is to connect with people. And not only that, but to have the ability to do it in a really effective, intimate, and strategic way. And that's what I want to share with you. 5 ways to use story to grow your brand that you may not be doing right now, and how to really use these things in a way that feel good to you, that feels good to you, and also to people who are listening to you. Because if you have listened to the She Rise podcast at all, then you know I tell lots of stories on here. And it's the thing that I hear back from people, oh, I love when you tell stories. Well, this is relationship building. That's what's happening here. So I want you to really think about how you can do this in your own business. And if for some reason you don't have a business, this is still amazing information because it truly is story that connects us all. But here's the thing. You have to know why you're telling the story. And you have to know which stories to pick that are relevant to the message that you are delivering. So, number 1 is in a brand story. So there's a difference between stories that validate a message and a brand story. Your brand story validates your vision. Let me repeat that. Your brand story validates your vision, and your vision is what leads your mission. It is the why behind what you do. It is what you desire to see in the world. And your brand story is a story about ultimately you waking up to the idea that this vision is important. And when you're able to break this down in a concise way that really relates to your ideal client or customer, this is magic. This is gold. Because what will happen and what naturally happens when somebody is exposed to a narrative versus just information is that they start to see themselves. And that is true connection, is that we are all mirrors to one another. And as you hold up that mirror to someone and they see themselves in it, you create an instant bond. And so that's why I put this as number 1. The number 1 way to use story to grow your brand is to create a brand story. You can use it on your website. You can use it at the beginning of videos. You could use it as a podcast intro. You could use it so many different places, and it truly is so powerful. Okay, so number 2 is what I call real-time story connection. And real-time story connection is really powerful because if you're growing an audience and you're leveraging social media, well, this is the juice right here, because it's the difference between, okay, I want to create a message around how important it is to show up, say, and be visible online. Okay, I want to create a message around that. Well, I could just go and say, did you know that when you're visible, you could sell 100 times more of your services or products? And you're like, okay, great. 100 times? What do you want me to do the math? And I could give you all of these statistics. I could tell you, did you know that you are 3 times more likely to connect with a soulmate client if you use video? Okay, that may be true, but does that motivate you? Now, here's an example of a real-time story. Imagine that I had this really amazing thing happen where I didn't feel like showing up today, and yet I just decided to, in the afternoon, get online and do a video, and I wasn't even planning on it. But what happened is I just got so excited because I had this experience that I got over whatever was going on in my life. So basically I got over myself, right? I got over myself and I showed up anyway. And then 4 clients booked me. And you're like, wow, that's amazing, right? And if I go into how I had resistance that was holding me back from showing up, and how I overcame that to show up anyway, and then I had this amazing result, that is way more compelling, because somebody's going to be like, yeah, I get resistance too. I'm so glad Jaya's normal, right? She's not just, I'm humanizing myself and saying, I am a human too. We are all the same. I have some tools. You might want to learn them. I have a solution to what's happening for you. Do you want to buy it? So that is the essence of real-time story connection. It's around creating a story that really created itself because it appeared in your life as a gift to you. And when you're a conscious human, this stuff is happening all the time. There is always an opportunity to tell a real-time story of something that created an impact in your life. And that's impactful storytelling. Now, number 3 is story selling. And what's cool is you could combine the real-time story connection with story selling by just adding a call to action. So I got on live and I told the story about how I didn't want to, and then I finally did. And then I booked 3 clients. And do you want to learn this? I just did, I just put together a little mini course on this, or I'm taking 2 new clients, or whatever my call to action is. Boom. Now I'm story selling. And so this is really cool because these 2 things can work in conjunction. And ultimately, it's really just about adding a call to action to a story that leads into a valuable message. Okay? Now, number 5 is kind of what I just mentioned. It's to validate your core message. So as a brand or a business, you have a core message that is running through everything you do. It's running through everything you sell. It should be in alignment with what you're selling and with your mission in the world and with that vision. And so your brand story validates this core message. But here's the thing, you have lots of stories that validate your core message. And so one of the really amazing ways to use story is to recognize that and to recognize what stories validate your core message. And I will tell you that I have spoken on stage at dozens of events in the last few years. And I have told a different story almost every single place I've gone because I don't like to do the same talk over and over again. You will never see me do the same talk. But sometimes I use the similar story. But I have so many stories in my life that validate my core message or some version of my core message that I never run out of things that I could talk about. And I'm always creating new stories. Right? I have a new story from what happened in January for me, which I've talked about on the episode. You could go back to one of the later in January episodes if you want to hear about it. I think it was called My Breakdown to Breakthrough. I think it was just a couple episodes ago. But ultimately, that is a whole story. It's a whole storyline around me surrendering and following my intuition, which are my basic principles of business. And so I can validate that. And you're like, oh, Jaya had the crappiest month and all this stuff happened in her life. But like, look how she turned it around and look how she then created this. Actually, what I'm teaching you right now is I just had this call to simplify my business. And instead of launching She Rise School, which one whole quarter was storytelling, I was like, I just want to teach storytelling right now. I'm just going to do that. And so I'm doing it right now, right? And that validates my core message of following your intuition and really showing up for the guidance and co-creating with spirit to bring into the world what's really meant to be brought into the world. So this is a really important thing to recognize about story is that if I were to just say, hey, I just pivoted again and I had this whole thing and I was launching it. In fact, I did a 4-part conscious business series and I've been sharing it with you about it. Oh, but now I'm just going to do something else. And you're like, okay, great, but why? You want to know why. What is the storyline around this? You have to understand that when you're a brand and you're sharing content that matters to people, when you have a storyline in it, people want to follow it. And what does everybody want online? Followers. So this is just really powerful. I work on this myself. I am not perfect at it, but when you can use story to validate your core message in your brand or business, it works so well to keep people engaged. Okay? So, the last thing I want to share with you is something that you might not think of, and it's testimonials. So, it's about client experience, and it's not just, oh, my client got X, Y, and Z results. If you can create a narrative around what happened with a client, where they were emotionally when they started with you, what happened along the way? Was it all easy or did they have struggles? And so your potential client could put themselves in that story and say, oh, look, this is real. Oh, I can trust this because they're being real with me about the process instead of just shiny results. Everybody's sick of shiny results. I think it still works, but I don't think it's going to work forever. People are wanting more and more connection. People want to be validated and want to be celebrated and want to be seen. And we can do this through story. That's what it's for. It's so amazing for connection. And so instead of client testimonials being about what they got from you, what if they're about what they did with you and the experience they had with you, and you actually tell a story? I would say just try it and see what happens. And maybe I'll do an example for you and do a little client story and read one to you so you can see what I'm talking about. So the 5 ways to use story to grow your brand. Number 1 was creating a brand story. Number 2 was real-time story connection. Number 3 was story selling. Number 4 was validating your core message. And number 5 was story testimonials. So I hope this was helpful for you. And you can see how multifaceted this is and how many different places you could start to use this. But I will share with you that the foundation of it is truly understanding your soul thread and your golden storyline. Because when you know these things about yourself, you can create any of the things I just talked about at the drop of a hat. And this is true power. It is true power to be invited to speak somewhere and automatically know and trust that you will be able to put together an amazing talk because you know how to tell impactful stories. It is amazing to be invited to be a guest speaker in someone's group or program or mastermind, and you know that you're going to connect deeply with the people in there because you can tell your story, not just deliver content. It's amazing to be able to show up on a podcast interview and really know the stories that validate your message so that you can position yourself in a way that makes people remember you and remember what you do without having to tote whatever certifications you have or these things that don't stick with people. It's amazing to have this skill and ability and practice under your belt. And this is what I'm offering you. This is what I'm going to do with you in our 6 weeks together in the Impactful Storytelling Program. I'm going to help you understand your storyline, your golden thread, not just how to use story, but what your stories are. Because the number one resistance I hear about telling story is that people don't know how to put a story together. They don't know what story to pick. They don't know what's important. And I am going to teach you how to work backwards, starting with your audience, then going to your core message, and then going to picking a story, because I'm going to help you create a story bank. And in that story bank will be any story you need to validate the message that you will gain clarity on, because I will help you create your core message. I will also help you create other messaging around your business that is all in alignment with this brand story, because we're going to work on your brand story as well. So this is the best of the best. This is 5 years of being in the online space and taking, $10,000 worth of storytelling programs myself, and being a keynote speaker, speaking on stage, being thrown to the wolves, not having any idea who the audience was, and still being able to tell a story that connected with them. I mean, this is years of experience and practice to put this all together into a 6-week program for you, that you don't have to do all of what I did. You can practice the right things so that you can become a master at storytelling and create the number one commodity that you need to grow a successful business in this day and age. And that is connection and intimacy. And in those things, live know, like, and trust, and live buyers. So I just want you to really sit with this for a moment and think, is this a priority to me to create the number one commodity in owning a business, in creating a brand, in showing up for my purpose and making money doing it? Because I would recommend not putting it off, honestly, because there really is nothing more important besides bringing cash flow into your business. This will create such an amazing ripple effect for you in your self-knowledge and what you need to really be an even stronger leader, and also just for your business and for your ability to attract people and for your ability to speak clearly what you do and really get your business out there even more. So if you are interested, we are starting February 29th. I do have an amazing bonus that is a 30-minute one-on-one brand story session with me, where I am going to help you decide what the 5 prongs are. I have a 5-prong brand story approach where we dive into 5 different pieces of your story and how they relate to your ideal customer or soulmate client. And it is so powerful. And this is a bonus, but there are limited bonuses that are 2 left. I opened it up for only 5 people, and there's already 3 people who have enrolled in the program. So you will want to contact me very, very soon. If you go to the website, which is impactfulstorytelling.com, and you enroll in the program, then all you need to do is email me or message me, and I will grab that spot for you if there still is one. You also will get a free ticket to my She Rise Live event, where we're going to be doing live storytelling. We are going to be going, I have someone coming in for human design, for money expansion, I'm going to be teaching other parts on your vision and messaging. It's going to be so powerful and amazing. And it's 2 days. It's March 22nd and 23rd in Portland, Oregon. And all you need to do is grab your spot in the Impactful Storytelling program, and you are in. So, without further ado, let's wrap up this episode and just say, story will change your life. And one other thing is that you don't have to be an amazing natural storyteller. I will tell you, I never told stories ever, never. I am not a natural storyteller. I have learned and practiced, and that is why I have the ability. And I can teach you to do the same thing. So feel free to connect with me if you have any questions. I'm so excited to potentially connect with you and show you the magic of impactful storytelling and how it can create a massive ripple effect for you and your business growth and moving your purpose out into the world in such a powerful way. So much love. If you found value in this, please do share it out. Take a screenshot, put it up on your stories, tag me, the Jaya Rose, or she_podcast. She_rise podcast. I do that every time, don't I? And you can tag me on Instagram. Please do share it out because this love needs to be shared. And I will talk to you so soon. Remember, when you move, everything moves.